Financial Survival Network, helping you to survive and thrive in the new economy. Get our complimentary newsletter at financialsurvivalnetwork.com. This is the Financial Survival Network.
Financial Survival Network is presented to you by Regal Assets. Buy and sell physical gold and silver through your existing retirement plan, 100% tax-free with Regal Assets. If you want to include physical gold or silver in your existing IRA or old 401k, request your free investment kit, which was recently featured in the Forbes and Smart Money Wall Street Journal magazines. Call toll-free 855-678-6620, 855-678-6620, or visit regalassets.com. You know, there's so much controversy over resource extraction and environmental concerns. How responsible are the companies that are doing it, and who gets to clean up the mess that gets made, which is why I've come across a company by the name of Ridgeline Energy Services, Inc. They are experts in environmental remediation, particularly when it comes to decommissioning old wells and our old favorite, fracking. And they're very active in this field. With the controversy over hydraulic fracking going on, you need to hear it from the experts, what the safety aspects are, and not to mention the investment prospects, the opportunities. With me now is Ryan Johnson. He's with Ridgeline, and he's going to talk about what the company does and why the evil energy industry actually cares about the environment. Ryan, welcome to the financialsurvivalnetwork.com.
Hey, Kerry. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate your interest. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you. And there's so much controversy going on, and yet people fail to realize that the energy industry spends billions of dollars fixing up and remediating projects that are no longer producing. Isn't that right?
Oh, definitely. There's a lot of money spent on remediation. We find the clients that we're working with, our water treatment division, is spending a lot of money researching, doing due diligence, and exploring water treatment technologies. So it is a trend. It is going there. Unfortunately, the media does tend to pick up more of the negative headlines, but there's a very, very strong movement for stronger environmental practices.
Yeah, and Ridgelines didn't just come on the scene yesterday. They've been around for more than 10 years.
Yeah. So Ridgeline, it's composed of three business divisions. So the legacy division, the environmental consulting, was founded a little over a decade ago, based out of Calgary. And what it does is site remediation and reclamation consulting for the oil and gas companies in Western Canada. So it's got consultants that will go out to the site, and they'll do pre-site assessments. They'll go and they'll help the clients remediate the site after production and get it all put back the way it was before they started. The second division that we have is our Ridgeline Greenfield division. It plays off the environmental consulting. What it does is it takes contaminated soil from the oil and gas sites once they finish production there. The producers or third parties will truck it into sites that we construct at municipal landfills. So we do bioremediation, and we will treat the soil, clean it up, and then that soil is used for capping cover at the landfills. So it really works out well for everybody. The real driver of the company, the reason we get so much attention right now, is our Ridgeline Water. We've got a proprietary water treatment technology. There's a lot of water treatment technologies out there. Some of them work very well. Some of them are very expensive. Some of them work and have limitations, but we're getting a lot of interest because we can take produced water, frac flow back water, and we can treat it to economic targets specified by the client. So we have very low energy consumption in our process, so our cost of operation is significantly lower than the other technologies that are currently being used to treat the produced and the flow back water.
Right, and that's what seems to be one of the most controversial aspects of hydro-fracking, because the media gets a picture of a temporary discharge pond with tons, millions of gallons of polluted water, and it's there temporarily until it can be removed and taken to a plant such as Ridgeline's and cleaned up, right?
Yeah, you'll find predominantly, outside of areas like Pennsylvania where there is no saltwater disposal. Right now, what happens is the E&Ps will set up a storage facility. They'll truck in fresh water. They'll use that to frack. They'll capture that flow back, and then they will truck that to a disposal well if they don't have one on site. So right now, what you see in the industry is the majority of the water is actually disposed down a saltwater disposal well, and that actually is what we've seen is what is considered to cause all the earthquakes and stuff. There was the earthquake, I believe it was in Youngstown, Ohio, and
Right.
it gets attributed to the fracking a lot, but what it is they're taking the brine, the produced water, and then in North America, there's on average about 5 barrels of water that comes up with every barrel of oil. When they frack these formations for more oil and gas, also generally a lot more water comes back as well. So what they do is they dispose of this water down the saltwater disposal well, and what it was doing in Ohio was going into a limestone formation, and I guess it imploded and exploded and caused an earthquake in an area there was never any earthquakes before. So it's what you're seeing is a trend and a move in the industry to get away from the saltwater disposal wells for pressure from the population, the government and stuff, but also the cost of trucking down to them. And if you're in an area with a lack of disposal, you can be paying quite a bit to be injecting it down the well.
Right. And what Ridgeline's about is working with environmentally concerned companies to minimize the negative fallout from fracking, right?
Exactly. And for a couple reasons. And we're getting an immense amount of interest from some significantly large producer companies in North America. It gives us the confidence that we're doing the right thing in the right sector. Like, the interest is there, and there's a lot of money being spent at it. So what we want to do is we basically have two business models. So one would be we set up our treatment units at a client site. So we would be like our facility down in New Mexico. It's at a site where they've got multiple oil wells tied into a battery. So we will treat that water, and what we'll do is we'll allow them to reuse it for their fracking operations or store it, whatever they would need to do with it. Our second model, we've got an agreement with a private company where they have saltwater disposal wells. So it's a centralized well where all the E&Ps in the area will truck their water in, and they will dispose it down the well. So what we'll do is we will actually treat some of that water, and we will sell it back to the clients, because some areas, and it definitely varies by region, and even in small areas in the regions, it can have a lot of variability where you can have issues procuring water, or you can have issues disposing of the water. And what we see down in Texas and New Mexico is the drought conditions down there are quite severe right now. So there's a lot of pushback from farmers and locals on the oil and gas companies draining down the aquifers to use it for fracking, because the water that they need for the frack jobs can be massive sometimes. So what we want to do is we want to basically close the loop. So we can take the produced water, we can deal with the problem of that, take the flowback water, recycle it, and sell it back to the E&Ps, and they can use that in their fracking operations, which is just an absolute win for everybody. When you have social pressure that drives political pressure, that is regulating, large companies that are producing a commodity that our society can't live without, and they tend to make a lot of money doing it. It's a very good business situation for us to be in.
Right. It sounds like you're ahead of the trend, and that there's a lot more profit to be realized from this. And
this is what we're seeing. The treatment of water in the oil and gas industry is really in its infancy right now. Like, it's just, the whole industry is really trying to define the model of treatment of water. What they used to do is, they take the water, truck it to a disposal well, and then that is getting harder and harder to do. And the companies have been very ingenuitive in how they've dealt with their water as it gets harder to dispose of it or harder to procure it. But the trend in the industry is definitely for recycling, and there are companies out there that are going to do incredibly well. It's a huge industry, and there's a lot of money that's going to be behind it.
Right, and I believe you guys have been raising capital recently?
We have raised about $20 million in the last year and a half. We've done very well in very challenging markets. So we get a lot of interest. I believe we have 5 analysts covering us right now, which is quite good for a company at the stage that we're at right now. We're basically, going from a relatively short 3-year R&D phase to full commercial deployment. So things have been going very well for us, and we've been rewarded in the markets for it.
I'm sure of that. It just makes a lot of sense. The trend is definitely in your favor. The wind is at your sails, and your services here, all of them, but particularly the fracking, is so needed for all the reasons you've said. And it's good that a company like Ridgeline has been able to get the capital that it needs to expand and to make responsible wastewater handling and fracking installations much more affordable and viable.
Exactly. I think fracking is here to stay. That nothing is undeniable, but that's pretty much undeniable. There's a lot of rhetoric out of both parties down in the U.S. No matter who gets in, that the U.S. would like to go energy independent. So there's a lot of resources in the ground in North America, and getting at them by fracking is going to be the way that it is done. So something has to be done with the water. It's getting harder and harder to procure. Getting more and more difficult in areas to dispose of it. So the companies that come in with solutions to that are going to do well.
Oh, absolutely. And I guess it's death, taxes, and fracking. They're going to be with you for life.
Exactly.
So anyways, Ryan, we want to thank you for coming on financialsurvivalnetwork.com. If you want to hear this interview, as well as numerous other informative interviews and constant financial information from around the globe, it's financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Ryan, we wish you the best of luck. What's the stock ticker on what exchange?
We trade right now. Our home exchange is the Toronto Stock Exchange Venture. That symbol is RLE. We are also listed on the OTCQX. We're moving towards a NASDAQ listing. That symbol is RGDEF. And then we also trade in the Frankfurt Exchange.
All right. Excellent. Well, hey, we wish you the best of luck. It's a great service that you guys are providing, and I'm sure you're going to do quite well at it.
Excellent. Thank you, Kerry. It's a pleasure being on.